Let's start the podcast. You're listening to Off the Cliff Sports. I'm your host, Cliff Jacks. Thank you for tuning in another week, listening to all I have to say, whether you think it's right or whether you think it's wrong. The last 2 weeks I've come on here and I've talked about the NFL and Jay-Z and whether Colin Kaepernick was done wrong and whether Jay-Z was a sellout. We're not going to talk about that this week. I do have one question before we get into episode 32. I want everybody to listen to this question and think about it. I'm not saying whether I agree or disagree. Just want to throw it out there. If Colin Kaepernick was still about the movement, why did we settle with the NFL? That's my question. Why did Colin Kaepernick and Eric Reid settle with the NFL? Think about it. Andrew Luck. Good old Andrew Luck is 29 years of age. He's made a lot of money in the NFL. He's also been injury riddled. Andrew Luck decided to hang up the cleats in the midst of the Colts' third preseason game. I don't think they wanted that news to get out in the middle of the game, and it did. As Andrew Luck walked off the field, he was riddled with boos. Now, why would the home team boo their savior? Andrew Luck was the guy that's supposed to replace Peyton Manning and get the Colts back to the dominance of the past. Andrew Luck has had some good years, including last year when most of us like, would he be able to play up to the standard of before? And he actually got the Colts to the second round of the playoffs. But in Andrew's statement, he said, hey, I'm tired of having to rehab again, surgery again. Who can blame him? As a human being, we all have the right to make a decision on whether we want to continue to do something or not. Andrew Luck has a family, and he don't think that he was being very productive for his family with all the injuries and the rehabs, and he probably was mentally not in it. I don't blame him for retiring if he felt that's the thing for him to do. I do blame the fans for booing in that situation, though. Most of them probably because they play fantasy football. I do too. But hey, we can't help if a player gets hurt or retires. Hey, this is real life, not a game. Andrew Luck was solid, but he's never panned out to be that guy. Do you think Andrew Luck is a Hall of Famer? That's another question. Someone out there, one of you Everyday Joes, Everyday James, please let me know. The last 3 weeks we had our preview shows. We talked about each division, who we thought was going to win those divisions. This week I'm going to give you my picks to get to the playoffs and get to the Super Bowl. I got some other picks some people sent in. I'll let you know about those as well. Stay tuned on Off the Cliff Sports. I'll be back with you in a moment, folks. Cliff Jacks back with you on Off the Cliff Sports. Remember, follow us on Twitter at Cliff_sports, on Instagram, Off the Cliff_sports. We post things on there, informational, of course. Let's get in today's show. So, of course, the NFL season's about to start here shortly. And I did have a couple people post their Super Bowl predictions for us. Of course, one of the big themes is the Dallas Cowboys, of course, is coming up a lot. and the Kansas City Chiefs is coming up a lot. So AP, one of our listeners, his choice was the New England Patriots against the Dallas Cowboys for the next Super Bowl here. Had another young man said that it'll be the Chiefs and the New Orleans Saints. And what we would call that is a redemption Super Bowl because both of those teams should have been in the Super Bowl last year. That's how that looks out. I also heard from my good buddy Mo. Mo is torn by his favorite team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He kind of wants them to lose the next two seasons because he wants to play for Clemson's quarterback, Lawrence, in 2 years when he's eligible to come out. He would love for his Bucs to have two bad seasons and Lawrence be the pick at number one for the Bucs. With Bruce Arians as their coach, I don't really see that happening. Bruce Arians is a pretty good coach, and I think he's going to get what he needs out of that team. I don't know if Winston is a franchise quarterback, though. And the Bucs got to figure out, are they going to settle on one of the running backs they have, or if it's time to go get another one? They have receivers that can handle their business. Yeah, Mo said he don't know right now. He said some teams out there, and he hasn't really looked into it deep enough. He kind of want to say the Saints, but he says Philly has an opportunity. He's just hesitant and doesn't really want to let us know what he's really thinking. I believe he really want to pick the Cowboys, and I know he hates the Cowboys. So I had time to sit down and chat with good old A-Train, who did the 3 preview shows with me, and I'm going to let you listen to some of that conversation here. Take a listen. A-Train, I know you have a love affection with the Cowboys. I don't know why. But let's start with the NFC. And what 6 teams you got making the playoffs?
Hey, man, the Cowboys, with or without Zeke, we can make the playoffs. Now, we may not make it far without him, but we won't make it far. We can make the playoffs.
Well, let's just say he's back.
Okay, if he's back, my 6 teams, in no particular order, or the Saints, of course, which are my favorite without Zeke. The Saints are my favorite to go to the Super Bowl. I have the Rams. I have Dallas. I have, who else did I have? The Bears.
Ooh.
Yes, I did say the Bears. Will they make it anywhere? I don't think so, but I think they can make a playoff. And then the 2 wild card teams that I'm looking at, I honestly think Arizona might sneak into a wild card because, I don't know, man, the 49ers, they just ain't doing it.
So you think Arizona is Kyler Murray special? That's the only way they're going to sneak into a wild card.
Yeah, I think because nobody have film on him. So his first season, he might be able to do something. And it's common. That happens with new quarterbacks. So this year he might do something. Next year we'll see what happens. But he can sneak in. And then my second team is the Eagles.
So you have the Bears winning the division over the Vikings and the Packers. That's a very interesting.
It is interesting.
Selection.
And it is. It's not what you would think. Everybody would say the Vikings, but I don't know, man. I've been kind of watching them a little bit during preseason.
I was going to say probably the Packers because they got Aaron Rodgers and
they do have Aaron Rodgers, but the Packers they got a new coach this year. I don't think it's cohesive. So, but I don't know, man. I guess because I like what I've been seeing in this preseason.
The Bears do have a stout defense, but they did lose the defensive coordinator, which I wish they would get back. I really want them to get him back.
But this defense is still going to be monsters. That's going to be the determining factor. So they're going to do some things and score some points on defense.
All right, so to reiterate, A-Train has the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Saints, the Arizona Cardinals, who's a shocking pick, the Bears,
as a wild card.
And also, who did I leave out?
You left out the Rams.
The Rams. Sorry, Rams. My bad, guys. All right, so that's the NFC. Before we get to picking Super Bowl, let's move over to the AFC, which we all know the Chiefs are going to be one of your picks, I'm assuming, because they have the best offense in football.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely got the Chiefs. And from this AFC South division, man, honestly, I think the Titans might sneak up. The Texans not looking too good. They lost their running back. The Colts, Andrew Luck just bowed out. You know, I respect that guy because he took a lot of pounding. But I think the Titans might go ahead and take that. They're the most complete team in that division, honestly. And then AFC North, of course, I got to go with the Browns. And everybody like, oh, they still the Browns. But, bro, if you look at the paper, we just going off of predictions and looking at the paper, I got to choose them. And then the Patriots, that's going to be 4. Now, for my 2 wild cards over there, I'm looking at the Steelers, and I'm looking at the Texans.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I don't agree with none of the picks he has on that side almost, except the big names. So what you're telling me is you have no faith in Jacoby Brissett, and you don't think Deshaun Watson is that guy.
I like Kobe Brissett, and I like Deshaun Watson. But we've seen Deshaun Watson without a running back before, and it just didn't work out.
For over 4,000 yards, and
but
his
offensive line is not great.
They're better.
They picked up a couple of keys, but what they showed us last week in Dallas.
Well,
I saw that up close and personal. No, but it's still the number ones. It's the third game of the preseason. You got to start clicking, man, because in the fourth game, the number ones don't really play at all. We're trying to figure out who we're going to put on the roster.
You can't click from one series, though.
No, if that's the case, the number one offensive line stayed in there for the entire first quarter.
If I go back to week 2 against
they stayed in there for the entire first quarter and then half of the second quarter, and they still couldn't get it together.
Against the 49ers in week 2, I saw Dak take a beating because his running back couldn't pick up a block. So, I mean,
that's true.
You can't put a lot on preseason. I put nothing on preseason.
And what week was that again?
Week 2.
In week 2. Now, we was in week 3 last week, and it looked a lot better. You got to clean it up. You got to clean it up by week 3.
So, we got the Patriots, the Chiefs, the Titans, the Texans, the Cleveland Browns, and who was the last team I did not pick? He didn't give me a 16 yet.
I did give you one. The Steelers.
The Steelers. So only one team out of the AFC West. No Chargers. Wow.
Yeah, I'm just not looking at them right now.
I'll tell you again.
I want to make some bold predictions because we know how football goes, man. It never goes as planned.
Exactly, that's true.
So when it comes out and these teams actually make it, and nobody believe they would.
We have it recorded.
Yeah, I just want you to go ahead and replay this as a refresher series. You know,
it's recorded, but I'm gonna have to tell you, like I told you earlier last week, the Ravens and the Steelers are better than the Browns. And I say they're better than the Browns because both of them defense is going to be better than the Browns.
Now, the Ravens lost a little bit on their defense, though. So we'll see. They don't have everybody there. They ain't got C.J. Mosley anymore. They don't got Suggs anymore.
It's time to let old people go and younger people come in.
Hey, Mosley wasn't old. Mosley's just reaching his peak in the NFL. So I think that was kind of a dumb move on their part. I understand Suggs, but that Mosley move, man, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. Now the Steelers defense is going to be A1. They're going to be
good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got your 12 teams here, and before we get your picks, do you like this new rule about possibly adding 2 teams to the playoffs?
No, I mean they doing that for money and ratings, and you know. It's not going to add any value to the season or add any.
Unless you're the number 1 seed, because if you're the only team that get a bye week, that's totally an advantage.
Yeah, but that's how it is now. The number 1 seeds.
Now the number 2s get bye weeks too. They're talking about adding a team to each division where only one team gets a bye week, and that'll be the number 1 seed.
That's not going to. I mean,
I see an injury risk.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like it. I don't like it. In any real coach and football player, we do not like bye weeks. Unless we just that injured, I hate bye weeks.
We don't like preseason either.
We don't like. I like preseason. It kind of helps knock the rust off. But bye weeks, man, it's kind of I don't like bye weeks.
Do you need 6 weeks to knock the rust off?
Yeah, implement new schemes. See
That's
who
what
you want.
OTA is for.
No, you need 6 weeks, man. You got new kids coming in from college. You want to get them into a real routine.
No.
Live action. You want to see what they look like week after week.
Week 4, the only thing week 4 of the playoff does is make everyday Joes and Janes out there waste money to take their kids to the game. Yes, preseason week 4, all it does is
I want to see
waste money as everyday people out there.
The guys who are on the cusp of making the team and not making the team, there's still an interview process for them. So that fourth game is important for those guys on the field because they may not be on that team, but they interviewing for 31 other teams in the league.
They're playing in the first 3 games, so why do they need a fourth game?
You might not play. Listen, on that fourth game, I might see something in somebody in game 2 and 3, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give him a little bit more reps. So I'm gonna start him out in the first quarter. So you want to see a little bit more in the fourth game.
All right. So who is your picks to go to the Super Bowl?
So I got the Chiefs in the AFC West. I think they're going to finally get over the hump with the Patriots. And then I hate to say it in the NFC, I got the Saints. All this controversy.
You sure that's what you want to say?
No, it's not what I want to say, but I'm going to say it because to me, honestly, they're probably the best in the NFC as far as they can make it to the Super Bowl.
Now reiterate that for my fans or my listeners rather.
I believe the Cowboys can make. If we have Zeke and we get it together, we can make it to the NFC
Reiterate
Championship.
who you say are going to make it to the Super Bowls for the listeners can hear you again. I don't think they heard you.
I said the Saints out of the NFC. And the Chiefs out of the AFC.
All right, guys, you heard it here first.
Those are legitimate picks.
The Saints and the Chiefs.
We see what the Chiefs can do, and we know what the Saints can do. Those are legitimate picks.
All right, A-Train, it was great having you on. I'm sure we're going to hear some people say something about these picks you made, whether they're good or bad. But we appreciate your time.
Bring it on.
Until next time, A-Train out. We'll be right back on Off the Cliff Sports, folks.
You're listening to Off the Cliff Sports, episode 32. So, if you're listening to this episode on Saturday, the date it's released, you probably may know, if you are an NFL fanatic, the last 3 days, including today, Saturday, is considered cut for the NFL. What that means, most teams currently have about 90 players on their roster currently. And by end of business on Saturday, those teams have to be down to 53 players. So you have 37 individuals from each of the 30 teams that are going to get their pink slip. I personally want to tell those guys, the younger guys especially, don't give up on your dream. If it's your dream, keep your body in shape, keep grinding. You got the NFL, they always got to call up people here and there. You have the XFL coming about in February. And currently, the Canadian League is ongoing, but hey, that's an option as well. So if it's your dream, don't give up. You got to grind it out until it comes to you. But if you give up now, you might as well go find you a 9-to-5 out there. Veterans, you have to make your decision and do what's right for you, whether it's keep trying or if it's time to hang up the cleats, just like Andrew Luck did. It was time he said to hang up the cleats. I don't know. I think Andrew Luck could possibly come back to the league. Just got a feeling that after a year off, he's going to have that itch. His body's going to be feeling better. I can see Luck returning to the NFL. Cut week is a tough week, though. So if you're family members of some of these players out there, just remember we got to be careful with those guys right now. All right, guys. So the NFL season, September 5th, will begin. The Packers and the Bears. it's pretty much time for mostly everyone to, hey, who you picking to get to the playoffs, who you picking to get to the Super Bowl. That's going around a lot. So I might as well just let you know what I think. Currently, started with the AFC, of course. I have the Chiefs having the best record in the AFC. I have the Patriots with the second best record. I hate to say it, but the Patriots division consists of Buffalo, Miami, and the New York Jets. So, I mean, unless it is time for Tom to hang it up and they just having a bad year, I don't see them not winning 10, 11 games. Other 4 playoff teams right now, I have Baltimore. I think Baltimore is going to win the North. I think people are sleeping on the talent that Lamar Jackson has because I think the boy is good. I seen it when he was at Louisville. I saw the ability. He can throw it down the field. He can run it. Teams just got to give him an opportunity. Quarterbacks are going to make mistakes when you are a dual threat quarterback. You just got to work through those mistakes and get to the point where he is accurate and so on. Deshaun Watson did it. Lamar Jackson can too. I also have Pittsburgh getting in the playoffs. So if Baltimore wins the division, Pittsburgh's going to have to be a wild card. And the other side, it's open. As my friend A-Train said, it's an open division, but I'm going to go with the Texans. Because if you boil down to it right now, I think they have the best quarterback in the division. So I got the Texans winning that division. And the last wild card spot I have is the San Diego Chargers. I think that team is loaded. And I think if the Chiefs slip up, the Chargers could sneak in there and win the AFC West. In the NFC's relatively easy, some of the divisions. I personally have the Eagles winning the East. I'm not drinking the Dallas Kool-Aid. I live in the area. I hear the critics and analysts every day, the radio stations. I know one of them, they are sponsored by the Cowboys, so I guess they got to show all the Cowboy love. And the other one, they talk about the Cowboys too, just as much. So I hear this all day, every day. I'm like, you don't even have other topics? Is everything Dallas? But it is what it is. The Cowboys are a good team, so I'm not going to say they're not. And I do think they will have the wild card and the Eagles will win the division. If Zeke is there, the Cowboys have a team that could compete to try to get to the Super Bowl. But I'm choosing the Eagles, win the division, Cowboys wild card. I'm going with Minnesota in the NFC North just because I think their offense is going to rise to the occasion. The North, the Bears has a good defense. Detroit defense is not bad. Minnesota defense is good. But I'm going to go Minnesota to win that division. I'm going to go with the Saints to win the South. I'm going to go with the Rams to win the West. My last playoff team is the Atlanta Falcons. So your 2 wild cards, the Falcons and the Cowboys. Now the Falcons and the Saints, I think they're going to split their season series. So the Falcons could end up winning that division, especially if Julio Jones stays healthy. If he stays healthy and the other receivers, Sanu, Ridley, can be those complementary guys, I think this offense is going to get back to that high-flying Falcons offense of a couple years ago. All right, so there you have my 12 playoff teams for 2019. I'll give you my picks for the Super Bowl at the end of the episode. I'm not going to give you that good tea just yet. Make you wait for it. All right, guys, we'll be back with a little more info on Off the Cliff Sports. Don't go anywhere. All we're back, folks. Let's get out of football for a little bit, talk about some other stuff. We have plenty of other sports out there, but we all know football's hot right now. Major League Baseball is winding down. We have about 30 games left for most teams, so it seems like a lot to us, but to them, if you played 130, 30 left is nothing. We also already know the teams that have hung it up and are planning their time off, and the teams that are actually competing to be champions. Right now in the AL, you got the Yankees pretty much have already wrapped up the East. The Houston Astros have pretty much wrapped up the West. It's funny that these teams know they're going to be in the playoffs because they're that far ahead. In the Central, you do have a battle between Minnesota and Cleveland. Only 3 games separate the two teams, so that one is going to go down to probably the last week of the season, unless in the next 5-10 days somebody stretches their lead out. In the National League, the Dodgers, I don't even know why they have a National League West, because it's like those teams don't really want to compete. One thing about baseball, there is no salary cap, just FYI. So if your owner is willing to spend, he's willing to win. Win and spend. Okay, that was corny. I get it. In the Central, you had the Cardinals made a big run, and now they're on top of the Cubs by a game. Milwaukee's about 6 games back. I'm not going to count them out yet because they have the defending most valuable players, so things can get changed up there quickly. In the National League East, those Atlanta Braves playing in that new stadium that's only 2 years old, they have a 5-game lead on Washington. They're probably going to keep that lead. I don't think Washington has the staying power. Washington is in the wild card spot, the top wild card spot, so that may be a good thing for them. But that's your baseball standings. Personally, I still have the Astros and the Dodgers playing in the World Series. You guys can let me know if I'm right or wrong about that in about a month and a half. Well, okay, about 2 months. Major League Baseball, that is. We also have the U.S. Open in tennis going on. They're going into week 2, starting Monday. And we still have all the big names there. Serena's still in it. Roger Federer's still in it. Those the 2 big vets. And on the women's side, which I do like women's tennis better than I like men's tennis, and probably because there's more women from the U.S. that are competing compared to the men's side, when normally the men players are out of the tournament after rounds 2, 3. But we got a lot of U.S. women that are playing well. You have Serena up there. You have the little 15-year-old Coco. She plays later tonight against the number 1 player in the world, Naomi, the little young lady from Japan. Well, she represents Japan, but I think she's half Japan, half American. You also have the young lady Townsend, an American that's had a couple upsets and still running strong. So women tennis definitely is more exciting to me. I think if they cut men's tennis down to 3-set matches instead of 5 sets, you probably get more people watching. Those 5-set men matches can last 3.5, 4 hours. That's ridiculous to watch 2 people run back and forth hitting a tennis ball. That's my opinion. Cliff Jacks. I'm an everyday Cliff. What do I know? Just like all the other critics out there. All right, folks, we're going to come back with, of course, Top of the Cliff. And we got quick takes this week. Plus, I'll give you my pick also on NCAA football, which kicked off. And it makes everything so much better when football's on TV pretty much 5 nights a week for the most part. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us on Off the Cliff Sport. Cliff Jacks back on Off the Cliff Sports. I want to thank all the listeners, all the Everyday Joes, Everyday Janes. Without you guys, there's no me, and I love doing it. It's time for Top of the Cliff, one of our favorite segments of the show. This week, maybe controversial. We'll see what you think. It's kind of scary and it's kind of dangerous at the same time, but we're going to ask two individuals to come to the top of the cliff. And I'm going to let you hear some audio why.
I'm gonna ask you this one more time before I take it to another level.
Go shoot the ball.
Can I have my sign?
Go shoot the ball.
Can I have my sign, you agree?
No, he's not coming.
Say less. I'm gonna make sure I put a bullet through your fucking head.
All right, that video that you heard was courtesy of TMZ Sports, by the way. Thank you, TMZ, for your coverage of news. What we have here is DeMarcus Cousins, newly of the Los Angeles Lakers, and his ex-girlfriend / baby mother. DeMarcus Cousins split up from the young lady, and now he's moved on, and he actually got married to someone else. DeMarcus wanted his son to be at his wedding, but the baby mother said no, which brought DeMarcus to being a hothead and saying he's going to take things to another level, and I'm going to put a bullet in your head. I beeped out the other part. This is a very troubling situation because you got two adults. I say younger adults because both of them pretty much are under 30. And a young kid's involved. I hate domestic issues like this because he should never have said anything like that. If you already know that you and your baby mom have problems, you never know who's listening. You never know what's being recorded. You, as the man, as the guy that's pretty much the breadwinner of the situation, should know I need to make sure I keep my emotions in check. Plus, you're raising a young male, young black man, that you need to make sure that you show the right example for him also. Now, the female involved in this situation, you and DeMarcus is done. I'm sure you should have gotten that. And if he's going to make sure his son is safe, make sure his son get the flights paid for or what have you to get his son to where he's at, you shouldn't deny a son the opportunity to be with their father. We have enough single-parent homes out there now, and single-parent mostly with a woman raising a young man or a female. But most of the single-parent homes is a woman having to be the mother and the father. Your son has a NBA basketball player who's made millions as his dad. You should be able to let your son be around his dad because maybe his dad can instill, hey, son, you got to grow up this way. You got to be a good man. You got to do this. You got to do that. But instead, you guys have made the news for, to me, an embarrassing reason and a dangerous reason for you all. Of course, there has been a warrant issue for DeMarcus's arrest. Now, he did have a serious injury, and they say he can't fly because of the injury. So that's kind of how they're trying to get out of going back to go to jail with your lawyer and so forth, so forth. I'm sure they'll work all of that out. But I do want DeMarcus Cousins and his ex-girlfriend both to come to the top of the cliff because they deserve to be. As we tell all our customers that come up and join me on the top of the cliff, what you do when you get there is up to you, but please join me on the top of the cliff. We got to show a better example for our youth. Our world, especially in the USA, is dying because I don't know if the youth from 20 to 30 learned anything from us older than that, but we're dying slowly because, in my own words, we're stupid. We do stupid things. We don't learn from the past, and we're just doing the same thing over and over, which, from what people tell me, that's the definition of idiocracy. DeMarcus, you got to make better decisions. I know you're frustrated because you were about to get on a team with LeBron James and you had a chance to win a championship and so forth. You wanted your son at your wedding, and I bet you that probably really was hard that your son missed your wedding. I know this probably was hard. But you gotta move differently, sir. And Mrs. West, ex-girlfriend of DeMarcus Cousins, if you get DeMarcus Cousins locked up and he doesn't have income coming in, can you survive without it? It's not all about money, but I'm pretty sure the child support you get from DeMarcus Cousins is probably pretty good. That's just my opinion. I'm not an expert at it, but if he's making $5 million a year, I see you probably getting no less than $10,000, $15,000 a month. Adds up to a pretty good salary for an everyday Cliff, everyday Joe, or everyday Jane. Just my thoughts. Both of you guys join me on the top of the cliff because you're stupid acting and you have a child. All right, folks, we're going to come back with some quick takes, give you my Super Bowl picks, and I'm going to get you out of here. Off the Cliff Sports. Don't go anywhere. There isn't a better joy than getting to share all my information with you guys. Let's get some Cliff Notes in for this week. We're going to start NHL. McKeon, who's a 36-year-old National Hockey League player, retired after playing for 15 teams. He has a lot of jerseys that he can hang up in his man cave. That's crazy. The NHL owners also informed the union that they're not terminating the current deal that's in place, so you don't have to worry about any strikes going on in the NHL. The National Basketball Association. The Houston Rockets extended Eric Gordon, one of their guards, with a $56 million deal. $54 million deal, for an additional 3 years. To me, that's like, man, that's a lot of money. But I guess to billionaires, it's nothing. But congratulations, Eric Gordon, for getting that money. I always congratulate the players when they can get their piece of the pie. Again, of course, in the NFL, it's cut week. 37 players on each of the teams will be losing their employment and having to seek that employment elsewhere. Best thing about it, it could be on some of the other teams. Also in the NFL, Jadeveon Clowney, defensive player for the Houston Texans, is still holding out. He wants a new contract. He wants a lot of money. Or he wants to be traded. There have been some teams that's reached out, asked for trades, but nothing has transpired. Clowney said he doesn't want to go to Miami and play for the Dolphins. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a trade clause, but he's pretty much told the Dolphins, I'm not going to sign with you, even if you guys trade for me. The back and forth for players and billionaire owners. Sometimes it makes me want to throw up. Other Cliff Notes for you this week. College football is back, baby. It's nothing like college football to me. I love my NFL, but college football tailgating, kids enjoying themselves, having fun, kids competing for the next level. I love it. This year, I'm going to go ahead and tell you I picked the Clemson Tigers. I think they're going to go undefeated and repeat as national champs. I don't think anybody can mess with them. You do have Alabama, Roll Tide. They say they're ready this year. They say they will not let Clemson do what they did to them last year again. Year by year after year, it really boils down a lot of time to 3-4 teams. Honestly, I really only see those two teams. There's some people that say Michigan, but Michigan always loses a game they shouldn't lose, and I don't expect that to change. It's hard to compete with these teams down south. One thing I know in the United States, down south, you got speed, you got toughness, you got heart and determination. So I do see Clemson most likely playing Alabama again for the championship, and I see Clemson winning. Hands down. Sorry, SEC. I'm an SEC guy. Shout out to my Arkansas Razorbacks. Had a tough year last year. New coach. He's got more of his players in place. I'm looking for a good season for my Razorbacks. Woo Pig Suey. Let's go get 'em, Hogs. Great show this week, folks. I thank you. Everyday Joes, Everyday James. I thank all of you for listening in, whether you're listening Saturday, the day of, or someday after that. I thank you for listening. Please give me your opinions. Feedback is important. I do want to reiterate, all statements on this show are statements of Cliff Jacks, my opinions and my opinions alone, unless it's one of my guests, and then their opinions is their opinions. You don't have to be an expert or a critic, analyst to voice your opinion. And I think a lot of us would prefer to hear the opinions of someone that's normal than someone that say they're an expert at something. I mean, I listen to those guys also. They get paid to do the job. I would love to get paid to do the job. But I just think sometimes their opinion is slanted. Be it slanted in a good way or a bad way. I can't say which way, but that's my feelings. All right, our quote of the day, it's going to come from Arthur Ashe. Dedicated to Arthur Ashe because we are in the middle of the U.S. Open, and they do have one of their courts named after Mr. Ashe. The quote of the day is as followed. You are never really playing an opponent. You are playing yourself, your own highest standards. And when you reach your limits, that is real joy. The quote again, you are never really playing an opponent. You're playing yourself, your own highest standards. And when you reach your limits, that is real joy. NFL, NCAA football, U.S. Open, all those other college sports that are going on as well. Good luck to all the teams out there. Continue to fight, compete for what is right, and trying to be the best that you can be. Almost forgot to give you guys my Super Bowl picks. This year I'm picking the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Rams to make it to the Super Bowl. I think the Rams are going to get back for a second time after that horrible experience last year. A lot of people, I think, are forgetting the Rams are really talented, offensively and defensively. They're going to make it back, I believe. I think this time they'll have home field advantage instead of the Saints having home field advantage, and I think they'll be able to succeed again, this time without help from the refs. And the Chiefs, that offense is potent. I don't know what's going to happen once they get to the big game, but I think they're going to run rampant over the AFC this year. Those are my picks. Talk more about them next week. Cliff Jacks signing off. Until next week, everyone. Peace.